Alright, you'll have to excuse me. This is the first video I've done on this, and I'm doing it because a few people have been asking me about it, so I thought I'd do a quick screen record, and I'm doing this on a laptop. So this is the Necromancer Bloodlands build that everyone's been asking me about. Here, I've got myself running a tier 97 dungeon, as you can see. I just wanted to run it through so that you can see some of the stuff that's going on. Bloodlands, Bloodwave, throw out tendrils, pull everything together. Bloodlancer, you can't really even read some of this damage. It's just all overlapping. There's that much going on the screen that it's absolutely insane. And when everything stacks, you're going to be doing close to 1,000,000 hits. Most of them are in the hundreds of thousands. Overpower will get into 400s, 500s. You saw a couple of 300s there altogether. Bloodwave, push everything back, tendril them together, and just smash them. Same again for the next bit. Bloodwave, corpse tendrils, smash them. It's a safe build. You'll see in the setup that the Blood Lance consumes blood orbs and heals you. So you heal, you fortify constantly. If you look at my health, you'll see it go down and then fly back up. There's multiple reasons for that in the setup, which I'll show you. And yeah, so that's the build. That's how it all looks when you're running around. So on max roll, I thought I'd throw this up so that you guys can see exactly what's going on. Equipment wise, I thought I'd put in my own equipment. So when you go on here, you'll see my own stats and you'll see that these aren't anywhere near perfect. They can get so much better. So this build can get so much better. Total armor, max life. You'll even notice in one of these, as I go further down, I've still got maximum minion life. Damage reduction in most of your gear. When you're looking at your use a wand and a focus for obviously the extra resource and the extra stats. But your wand, you want like core skill damage, overpower damage, critical strike's good to have here, or vulnerable, one of the two, whichever works better for you. On the focus, this is far, far, far from perfect. You want lucky hit, resource generation, mana cost reduction, or essence cost reduction, something along those lines, which would be a lot better. With the rings, this is okay. I prefer to have more max life on these, and you'll see why. Because I'm sure, as you saw as we're running through, we're at 20,000 life. That can be stacked up to 23, 24,000 with some extra max life. I don't have any on this either, but the resource generation is pretty good. Damage to distance is good. Critical strike chance and damage, pretty good. Most of this stuff is decent as you're going through it. Sacrifice everything. Defenders, obviously, for 20% resistance to everything, which is great. Overpower damage for the bone sacrifice because it's 25% multiplicative. You'll notice when you take things off, you don't lose 25%, you'll lose a lot more because it multiplies off just more than just your base damage. It multiplies off all the overpower damage that you've got all at once. And obviously max life here because that's great for overpower damage when you sacrifice your golem, do the blood golem. Skill tree wise, if we scroll back up to the top over here, we are in hemorrhage. We then go to enhance hemorrhage and we go to innate hemorrhage for the fortify. You can use acolyte, but I don't really like to. I prefer to use innate. Innate just seems to work a lot better because the fortify is really, really good to have. I've got a spare point which I put in here. You can put it somewhere else later. I'll show you. Got unrivaling energy for some maximum essence, and then imperfectly balanced because yes, it can cost a bit more, but if you get your essence cost reduction down, 15% multiplicative increased damage is huge. Then the king of the build, which is Bloodlance. Bloodlance pierces through enemies. You get a guaranteed overpower every 6 times. We're going to go to Enhance, and then we're going to go to Supernatural. Supernatural is what gives you the 6 times overpower. So every 6 times you overpower. You'll see why this is important as we go further down. 1 into Huge Flesh, because we want to get a couple of corpses that helps with corpse tendrils. And then Bone Prism. Put 1 into Bone Prism, go across to Enhanced, and then go to Ghastly. Now, you can also save the point in Ghastly. You're making enemies vulnerable with a lot of other stuff as well. But I do this because I'm going to change my corpse tendrils from making them vulnerable to something else. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about later. And the other reason I run it is for this here. If an enemy is trapped by Bone Prison, you gain essence and more per every enemy trapped. What you're trying to do is keep your essence up as high as possible. Very similar to Bone Spear. Blood Lance uses a lot of essence. It's a lot cheaper, but it still uses a lot of essence because you're casting it out so often. Then we go down here, we go into Amplify Damage because we are cursing enemies and we go into Death's Reach. We're cursing them with Decrepify. We go through it of Horror because everybody knows why. Now, with your Corpse Tendrils, we don't use Plagued because we're using the Bone Prison. What we do use is Blighted so that we get more Blood Orbs. Blood Orbs heal, Blood Orbs fortify. And then we take everything we can here. I've got this on my necklace so that we get more overpowered damage. This will make sure that you create a Blood Orb 9% of the time, which is great. This will make sure that while you're healthy, you deal more damage with your blood skills. This will give you 30% more healing from all sources, and obviously when you heal more, you'll see further down why this is important. And this will give you some fortify when you carry on with your blood skills. Blood Wave all the way out to Supreme Blood Wave because we want the Blood Orbs. We want Inspiring Leader for the attack speed. We want Standalone and Memento Mori, obviously, because we've sacrificed everything. Rathmus Vigor. Now, this is why you want to heal and overheal. After being healthy for 12 seconds, you're healthy all the time, your next blood skill overpowers. This timer is reduced by 2 seconds every time you heal or overheal. This is why you want 30% extra healing and overhealing. So when you heal, when you overheal, when you do anything to do with blood orbs being picked up, this reduces so that you can overpower quicker. So at the moment we're at overpowering every 6 times we launch Bloodlance, and now overpowering every 12 seconds. Well, this will actually go down to, I don't know, probably around the 5 to 6 second mark as well. So if you consider them going back to back, where Bloodlance does every 6 seconds, this does every 6 seconds. If you overlap them, every 3 seconds you're overpowering, which is basically every 3 casts. Next, I just want to show you these very quickly. I've taken Anticipation to cool down, bring your cooldowns down because Blood Wave is great, pushes everyone back, and you get Blood Orbs. Fantastic. 16% to vulnerable enemies, which when they're in your Bone Prison, they're vulnerable, and the Vampiric Curse will make them vulnerable. You'll get this when you evade through people as well. When we go back through and have a look at our gear properly, I'll show you why. Actually, I'll show you why right now. When you go to your boots, you want 3 max evade charges, because you'll be able to use Metamorphosis and evade through them and give the Vampiric Curse, which is what's going to make them vulnerable. Next, we go to Hemomancy. This is just great because your health is huge. So your attacks dealing 80% of your max life every 4 seconds is just phenomenal. And again, you heal for every enemy that you damage like that. Your core skills overpower with Blood Boil, so you're going to take Blood Boil. This every 20 seconds will guarantee you another overpower. So there are points where this, Rathmus Vigor, and the 6 casts of Blood Lance will all stack together very closely, and basically you'll just throw out 3 hits, which is overpower, overpower, overpower. And once you've done that and you've had the 3 overpowers, you've cast more Blood Lances in between, and you may even overpower a 4th time. And then Metamorphosis is the evade we were talking about when it comes down to your boots. Now, basically with the gear, when we were going through and I was showing you everything, I'll go through the aspects quickly. This one here, the Protector, damage an elite enemy, get a barrier, really good for high-level Nightmare dungeons. Next one down is Might for 20% damage reduction when you use Hemomancy. Then whenever your blood skills overpower, you gain attack speed, so you're attacking faster. The faster you attack, the faster you're creating blood orbs, the faster Rathmus Vigor is going off again. Obviously, Disobedience, everyone uses it. You really do need to, it's great. Then your new seasonal aspect, which is 20% movement speed, you lose it after taking damage. Now, you will take damage a fair bit in higher level Nightmare dungeons, but in everyday things, Legion events and stuff like that, you probably won't, so you'll have 20% extra movement speed constantly. Bloodlance will launch an additional Bloodlance every time it hits the first enemy and it's already lanced, which is great for throwing Bloodlances out everywhere. And this is one of the reasons that we use, one of many reasons, but one of the reasons that we use a wand and an offhand is to be able to put these extra things on. On the offhand, I got Blood Wave firing 2 additional times to push people back. This means you're doing 3, 6, 9 Blood Orbs, and the 9 Blood Orbs all become Blood Lances thanks to Gore Quills. Gore Quills is fantastic because Blood Lance will consume the Blood Orb, which means it will heal you, it will fortify you, it will do all the fancy things that the Blood Orbs, when you consume them, are supposed to do, but what it'll also do is launch an additional Blood Lance. And those Blood Lancers going out just end up becoming this massive AoE all over the screen, even into the next screen of Blood Lancers. So you're killing enemies that you can't even see. On the rings, like I said, we want to get more max health. But what I've done here is I've got Blood Orbs reducing the cooldown so that we can get the Blood Wave back up. That is going to be fantastic. Gore Quills consuming them also helps bring this down very quickly. Then, while you're healthy, Blood Orbs will grant you 19% or 19 essence. This would be great to have at 20, but 19, I find that I don't really run out of essence, which is really, really fantastic. So that's the build in a nutshell there. Now, the Paragon was difficult, but this is what I've come together with, and I think it's pretty decent. So the first one where we start, we're going to put in Blood Drinker. Blood Drinker is there to give you extra damage, extra armor, extra willpower, dexterity, a whole bunch of stuff because it grabs it off these blue nodes here. You can see that there. You can see the whole thing. I'll have a link to the max roll so I don't have to describe every single rare node, blue node, and every other node on top. Then the next one we do is we take Bloodbath and we put in Control. Control is going to give you and your minions extra damage to crowd control enemies. You crowd control all the time. And then you get increased damage to stunned or frozen, which is okay, but we don't really do a lot of stunning or a lot of freezing. We move into Blood Begets Blood. We come down along here and we take Aggression for the overpower damage. We come over here to take Invigorated because we do pick up a lot of Blood Orbs, so having the extra damage is great. We put in Dominate, which is your overpower glyph. That's self-explanatory because this is an overpower build. What we then want to do is we then want to go up. We go up into the Bone Graft and we go there to basically get Invigorate. This is slightly off. We want to take that off and put the maximum essence on because then we get a little bit of more maximum essence. This does help keep your essence levels up, which is really, really good. And then we go down into Scent of Death. We go down into this section here for more maximum life for Shadow Resilience. We then float around here and we get Scent of Death so that when there's corpses nearby, we get damage reduction. So in the fight, we get damage reduction. When there's no corpses nearby, at the beginning of the fight, we do 15% multiplicative increased damage. That works on both sides of the argument when you're going into a fight, especially in higher level nightmares. And then we finish off with the Imbimba. This is what you're going to have, which basically pushes your power levels up through the roof at the beginning when you're starting at the beginning of fights. You gain extra when you're healthy. Potion healing is nice because you'll overheal, and that helps with all of the other stuff we were talking about earlier. So that's basically the build. I'll jump back in here. You can see a little bit more of me running around doing a fight. You notice that I Corpse Tendril, Decrepify, throw the Blood Waves in, and you'll notice that Blood Wave has come up really, really quickly. It's ready to go again. Then we run through, again, same thing, Blood Wave, 32 seconds, 26, 20, 18, 17, 10, 7, 4, bang, Blood Wave's back up. We can use it again if we need to. Great to be pushing enemies back, and especially when you've got things like these suppressors where you can create extra Blood Orbs to shoot them off and kill them a bit quicker. The build works out really, really well. It has massive overpower damage. The overpower damage goes up as high as 3,300% when you're running it through. Your attack power is over 20,000. Your health is over 20,000. If you can get max health on the rings, it'll go to 24,000. But that's basically my Necromancer build. Again, excuse the video. First one, just throwing something together for a few of the guys on a Facebook group that wanted to see this, and a couple of guys that basically wanted to get an idea of what it would all look like when you throw it all together. So that's it, guys. Enjoy. Thank you very much. And hopefully we get to throw up a couple more builds here and there when people like them. Have a good day.